Hey, what's up guys? Alex here with a new video, and today I got my hands on the new Viltrox 27mm f1.2 lens for the Fuji X-mount. If you're new to the channel, I am a Miami-based photographer, and this channel really focuses on lens reviews, camera comparisons, anything photo related. So if you're into that, hit the subscribe button in one of these sides. Today, I will be doing my first impressions on this lens because I believe in doing reviews after I've shot over 10,000 images with the lens. I've had this lens for 2 weeks, so the first impressions it is. I also have to say, Viltrox did provide this lens for review. No money exchanged hands, and they did not ask me to say anything about this lens. So everything you're gonna hear is strictly my opinion. I will also be providing images for you to download so you can check them out yourself. I'm going to talk a lot about the image quality, and it's all subjective, so feel free to download these raw files, play with them, and let me know your thoughts down below. Anyways, let's kick things off. I want to cover 3 things: build quality, autofocus, and image quality. Starting off with build quality. This is the first Viltrox lens I use as part of the Pro line. All the previous Viltrox lenses I've used have been part of their budget line. So when I unboxed this lens and I felt the build quality, I was super impressed. With the previous budget line of Viltrox lenses, my biggest complaint was the aperture ring. I always just set it on auto because the rings were never smooth, they felt rough, and overall it just didn't feel good. Lenses were great, but the build quality left a lot to be desired. This lens feels like a tank. It's built well. The aperture ring actually is one of the nicest feeling ones. It's nice and dampened, but still has clicks to it. It's weather sealed, and it feels like a premium lens. I guess I was kind of shocked by it because this lens retails for $545, which is cheaper than Fuji's 1.4 line of lenses. And you're getting a 1.2 lens. So you're getting great build quality, you're getting a exotic aperture for APS-C, and overall, it's really, really nice. So from build quality perspective, I can definitely recommend it. What about autofocus? So autofocus, it performs like a native lens. I use this lens on the Fuji XS20, and autofocus performed great. I never really missed a shot. Now, again, I wasn't shooting sports or fast-moving subjects, but the autofocus performed well. It was fast, it was snappy, and I had no complaints. Image quality. If you know me and you've seen my channel, when I have a 1.2 lens, I shoot it strictly at 1.2. I'm obsessed with bokeh and background blur. So I was surprised when this lens was actually incredibly sharp at 1.2. Again, I was constantly surprised using this lens because automatically you think, at least for me, cheaper price point, you're gonna have a trade-off somewhere. It's either gonna be build quality, image quality, or something's gonna just be a trade-off. And I just kept getting surprised as I used this lens. At 1.2, it's incredibly sharp and just produces beautiful images. I was just shooting random objects, random things, and continued to be impressed by the image quality I was getting out of an APS-C size body with this lens. I was so impressed, I actually wanted to compare it to a full frame kit, because this lens is essentially the equivalent of a 40mm 1.8 lens on a full frame body. So I decided to pull out my Sony a7R5, which I'm shooting with right now, and my Sony 35mm 1.4 G Master, I'm shooting with right now, and compare them both. Now, let's really break that down. The Sony 35 G Master is a $1,500 1.4 lens. It's $1,000 more than this Viltrox. And I was going to shoot it at 1.8 to match the equivalent background blur and bokeh, which is giving the Sony an even further advantage because I'm stopping it down a little bit. I shot the Viltrox wide open at 1.2. I'll be putting up the images for you to check out. I'm also including the Sony ones for you to download so you can compare them. I did crop the Sony to match the 40mm perspective, and to my surprise, the images were extremely similar. That told me several things. One, this Viltrox lens punches way outside of its weight class. It is looking like a $1,500 full frame lens, and that was pretty impressive. I was also thinking to myself, am I being biased here? So I decided to upload these images on Instagram, and I asked my following, which is a bunch of photographers, if they can tell which one was shot with an APS-C body. Again, to my surprise, in my poll, all these images were a 50-50 split. So even pro photographers couldn't tell a difference. So super impressed by the image quality and the background blur you can get on an APS-C body now with a 1.2 lens like this. So everything's good so far. What are the biggest cons? Well, the elephant in the room is it's the size. You see here in my hand, and it doesn't look large. It actually is the size of a full frame lens. But when you compare it to APS-C lenses, it's significantly heavier, significantly girthier, and just bigger in general. Actually, it kind of sounded bad, but anyways. And it wouldn't be such a bad problem if the camera APS-C Fuji bodies had big grips. Now, if you're shooting with an XS20, an XH2, XH2S, I think this lens is perfect because those cameras have nice deep grips and it's gonna balance pretty well. It's not unmanageable, but for those cameras, it's a good match. Now, if you're shooting with an X Pro 3 or X Pro line of cameras or an XT line of cameras, because those cameras really have no grip, having a lens that's this front heavy is just not gonna be comfortable. I didn't test this lens with one of those cameras, but I know that even using with some of their 1.4 lenses can be uncomfortable because those cameras just have no grips. So if you own one of those bodies, you're gonna have to make that choice. Make the sacrifice for the image quality and just kind of have a unbalanced kit, or just pass on this lens. In the end, like I mentioned earlier, these are my first impressions, and the experience I had using this camera with the XS20 was very, very nice. After using this lens, I automatically thought I have to try the 75 1.2 from Viltrox because I had such a good experience. But like I always ask, what are your thoughts? I love providing these samples for you to download so you can check them out and we can have a conversation. So play with some of these files. Let me know down in the comments below. What do you think of the image quality? How do you think it compares to full frame? And as always, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you on the next one. Have a good one, guys. Peace.